Just when you thought your Malmachian couldn't get any more retro, here's your look at the NECA. This is the Elf Totally 80s Ultimate Action Figure. Elf crash-landed through the roof of the Tanner family garage and square into the hearts and homes of American television viewers. This short, furry alien life form quickly surprised everyone with his urbane wit and unusual customs and habits. Well, he is back, but he's not in pog form. Before we get a closer look at the totally 80s Elf, let's take the tape measure and see how tall the figure stands. I think it'd be safe by now to assume that this guy's using the same mold as both the original Elf and the Born to Rock Elf. Yeah, you'd be pretty much correct. The figure's going to stand the same at 5 1/4 inches in height, or about 14 centimeters tall. Kind of ironic, really, that every iteration of Elf, NECA's checked the box to have the Malmachian with more clothing and not less. In the sitcom, generally, Elf was walking around without any clothing, and yet with the original release, he actually had that gear shirt that looked more like the cartoon. The Born to Rock Elf had him sporting a denim vest. Now with the new 80s, totally 80s Elf, now granted, again, all the clothing could be taken off if you really want to, the new totally 80s Elf is actually wearing an outfit that's got his own face on it that has no problem down below. Too many accessories, not enough space, no problem. Whatever you don't end up using can easily go back in the tray. Although, really, to be fair, there's a lot of cool accessories that come included with this release of Elf. I can't see myself ever really wanting to put any of them away. The only thing I would really say is I really wish that this figure could have come included with a table. I'm sure I probably could find myself a very similar size of table, because I would really like to be able to put all these things up there. Between this one and the first released Elf, he's had quite a lot of cool accessories. The first things first, though, the figure does come included. Now, we were just talking about the cartoon. It does almost even look like the cartoon version of Gordon Shumway. Almost looks like he wants to be coming out of the TV set. Speaking of TV set, though, this seems to be the exact same set that we got with the Nightmare on Elm Street accessory. In fact, you can remember they even had a hole in the back. You could actually hang this on the wall. And also subsequent Ninja Turtle releases, the accessory packs have also included the same TV. Although in this case, it's not lenticular, other than just Elf really looking like he wants to jump out of the screen. There's nothing really that moves on the screen itself. Still nice that we get ourselves an accessory like this. To go along with this, you also get yourself a gaming console. I'm not really sure what console this actually is. It kind of looks like a Super Nintendo, at least from the coloring. It does also have a cartridge. The cartridge is a little harder to make out. You can see it right there. You can't remove the cartridge, which I think would have been fun if they had removed it, but then I say that I would have only ultimately lost it. It does also come included with the joystick. The joystick is not removable. Any bit of bending will only result in this snapping, you crying, and then you running up the stairs. It does have a cord that's attached to the side. Just be careful that the cord doesn't actually rip. I'd love to get myself like a little TV set, like a little TV display stand, just to have all the accessories displayed on that. With the TV, of course, you got yourself the game console. With the radio, in fact, I actually got the radio over here from the original Elf. All these things would be ideal if you had yourself a similarly sized table. Anyways, we'll put the game console right over here just above the TV. A little bit more of a throwback to the original 90s. Like, look at the TV. Look at the telephone here that we get also included with Elf. I'd expect this to actually be in the hand of Zach Morris walking through was it Bayside? Bayside was the setting for Saved by the Bell. Talking to Screech, A.C. Slater. Yeah, pretty cool looking. I mean, you can really have him holding this as well. I mean, this whole time of me talking about all the accessories, Elf does technically come included with a gripping hand, so you can take yourself the phone, fit it into the hand, and it's not going to be going anywhere. I would imagine long-distance fees for him calling Melmac would probably be quite expensive. If he's trying to reach out the Rhonda, hopefully Willie's not paying the telephone bill for that. I guess while we're on the topic of hands, the figure does... Now, on the ends of his forearms right now, he has relaxed hands. If you don't like the look of that, he does also come with pointing hands. And I'm sure we've seen these hands before. He does also come with a slightly more smaller gripping hand, good for holding the sunglasses. You can take the sunglasses, put them into his hand that way. Or you can also take the pizza slice. Some prying may be on your part in order to get the grip open. You take yourself the pizza slice. I know we're kind of rushing along through the accessories, but you actually have him holding the pizza slice that way as well. So he comes with a couple of gripping hands. He comes with a wider gripping hand for the can of soda, and he comes with a slightly smaller C-clamp hand, good for, again, holding all the accessories. Now, I know we kind of just rushed through some of the things. The figure does also come included with a pair of sunglasses. Now, to look at these and to look at these, I think they're exactly the same. This was the original released Elf sunglasses. These were the new Elf glasses. Obviously, the only thing that's different is the neck on the side. Would you call these the neck of the glasses? I don't really know. I can tell you, though, at least that these would be pink on the totally 80s Elf. They would have been black on the original released Elf. Seems to be the exact same specs, though. The figure does also come included with a pizza box. Now, you see on the front, it says fresh-ish. I don't know what really that means. How fresh is fresh-ish? It says pizza, exclamation mark. You tried the best, now try the rest. The box itself, I would imagine they probably would have used the same construction and blueprints as the Ninja Turtle accessory pizza box, as it opens also the exact same way. The thing I like for the attention to detail is that they actually added grease stains on the inside of it. There's grease there on the top as well. That's the telling of you that you got yourself a delicious slice of pie. Of course, you can take yourself a couple of slices of pizza. I don't think there's any cat hair on there. Even if there was cat hair, I think Alf would be all fine for that. Looks like there's olives, perhaps mushrooms, sausage. I don't know. If this was my pizza, I mean, obviously I would be ordering from Malmacian Pizza, Elf Pizza. Mine would definitely not have olives on it. Probably may not even have green peppers. Just pepperoni. Pepperoni and usually bacon is the way I go. Sometimes I put a little red onion in there. That's delicioso. Take yourself the slices. They sit inside the tray. Again, if you had yourself like a little tabletop, yeah, also that would be perfect to sit that on top of it. But nice little pizza box. I'm sure, again, we've seen these accessories for one way, shape, or another, just with obviously a different deco on the front. The figure does also come include with a Rubik's Cube. How many of you out there? Whoo! Having a hard time getting that out. How many of you out there have an easier time of solving Rubik's Cubes? I tell you when, as a kid, just between you and me, I'm just going to whisper this into your ear. What I used to do was I used to peel off the labels. And then I would stick them on the correct side, and then I would tell my parents, look, I solved the Rubik's Cube. They would know. I mean, clearly they could just tell that the labels had been peeled off and had been reapplied. But I thought as a kid, I was being smart. I was obviously just telling my parents that I was doing one thing when clearly I was doing something else. The Rubik's Cube doesn't actually rotate. It's basically just one molded square of plastic. I mean, technically, you could also go back to those hands that we looked at earlier. He does have a hand that's pretty much, again, good for holding the soda, anything that's really wide. And you can also have him holding the Rubik's Cube as well. The figure also does come include the skateboard, which the skateboard, other than just having the print of Alf on the top there, I'm sure we've gotten this mold before. Maybe something with the Ninja Turtles. I feel kind of like a constant trend here. A lot of the accessories for Totally 80s Elf seem to be ones that were already used before for the Ninja Turtles. Rolling wheels are down below here. That's good to see. Again, I love the top of the deck there as well. Oh, he's speaking tech. He's speaking skateboard. On the bottom there, there's also Elf. I like the look of that as well. I guess you could technically put this also in his hand if you want to use the same hand that was good for holding the pizza slice. You could take yourself the skateboard. I'll just pry the fingers a little bit away. Take the skateboard, and yeah, you can fit into Elf's hand as well. What's left to cover? Well, how about a can of soda? Well, now the one thing that's interesting about this soda is it's called Fusco. Not that that's necessarily the interesting thing, but that the can seems to be the same shared shape as the can that we've already gotten with the original Elf. Both are also from the Fusco brand. Now, this seems to be maybe like a lemon lime flavor. This seems to be like an OG Pepsi flavor. Cans seem to be, again, identical. The top of the spout look like they haven't yet been opened. And again, like if you want to go back to those hands, what was the hand that I was using? This hand right here. Take yourself, I want to make sure I grab the right Fusco. Not the Fusk over Fusco, but yeah, you can get your hand in there, get his hand on there, and you can hold the can of pop that way. Okay, all the accessories, though, out of the way. Let's literally move them all out of the way and get a closer look at Elf. Now, the one thing that's kind of interesting about this figure is, well, yes, technically he is really using the same body as the original Elf. I don't think there's anything at all been changed. And for that matter, I guess you could also say, too, he's using the same body as the Born to Rock Elf. From a body standpoint, they are identical to one another. The head sculpt on this one bears more of a resemblance to this Elf. This one clearly doesn't have the headband like the Born to Rock Elf. The thing that's kind of interesting about this Elf, though, too, if I just move these all out of the way. For starters, obviously, if you don't like the t-shirt can be undone. Although with this one, there's a little more involved with, like, the original Elf, for example. If you want to have him without the outfit, without the shirt, you basically would just undo the front of the top and just basically slide it down his arms. This version of Elf is a little bit different, and you would probably imagine you'd have to take like the arms up. I'm not going to undress Elf here, but I have to imagine you'd have to take the shirt off that way, take the head off clearly as well, and just take the t-shirt off. I'm sure at some point we're probably going to be getting ourselves another Elf, but again, like if you kind of want more of the sitcom Elf without the clothing, I think the easier route to have gone is probably go with this figure, because the outfit, the shirt, would be a lot easier to take off. Basically, again, it's just all in Velcro. I think what I'd like to do, I just want to throw this out as an idea to you, because this head sculpt is so close to this Elf, and clearly, again, because the Born to Rock Elf had also the bandana, This one was already different from this one because, again, it had the bandana. If to make this guy even more unique than the other two elves on either side of him, the thing I have planned here, and you can also do this as well for yourself, the Born to Rock elf also had this head sculpt here. Now, while it was good for this elf, say, for example, you didn't want to have this look for him, you basically would just take the top of his head off. I'll show you guys in a second. And you replace it with this one. Now, this one has a little more of a curl to his hair. See how it's a little spikier on the top? Neither elf from before could say that they've had that. This elf, obviously the totally 80s, doesn't have that. His is a little bit more of a cleaner comb over. The original also elf, just get this guy to stand here for a second. This elf also would have done the exact same. So with this one being a higher hair, I don't really have a purpose for it yet because the Born to Rock elf I like to really have displayed on my shelf with the bandana. So here's the idea that I had. Because the construction of these are exactly the same, there's really isn't one, it's not at all different from really changing out the head on this one that was already different than changing out the one on the Born to Rock elf. All you really need to do, and you can do this for yourself as well, is just detach the head. It essentially is a two-half process. The bottom of his jaw, boy, that's a little unsettling. The top of the head basically just detaches by ball joint. There's a ball joint right there. There's a peg hole right there. Take the one that you're not using from the Born to Rock elf, that is to say, if you've already picked up that figure, and just essentially plug it back onto the ball joint. I want to, of course, make sure that you got the ball joint lined up here. Snap it into place. A little bit of pressure may be involved on your part. And wouldn't you know it, all of a sudden now you've got yourself a different looking elf. Now, the face doesn't change at all that much, but it really is the hair that makes this one very much now different. And if, again, you're going to be rocking the 80s look, want to have a little bit of hair gel or even hairspray in the hair of elf. I almost kind of even feel like for them to release the totally 80s elf, why they would have not chose this head sculpt instead of going it back to the original one. Because, again, like you can see the differences there. Now, again, that's only for me. If you want to choose to stick with the original head, you can by all means do that. But I think for me, I'm going to definitely display him with this hair because up to this, again, point, I didn't really have a use for that other head sculpt. For the rest of his body is going to be, again, exactly the same because of that as well. The figure's articulation is also going to stay the same. Elf's head's going to be on a ball joint, whether you want to use this head or not. It allows the head to look up, down, back and forth as well. And I just want to make sure I've got that all the way on there. The mouth does also open and close. Now, one thing, though, is you want to make sure that if you put like the new head on there, you just want to make sure that the mouth can still open and close. I want to make sure it's all the way on there. Yeah, it does open and close. Again, you may want to make sure it's just a little bit more securely on there. But yeah, the mouth does open and close. No problems there at all. The arms rotate normally all the way around. Because he now has the shirt over top of it, it's going to be making things a little bit more difficult. The figure can still pull off a T-pose. He has a swivel there at the bicep. If you actually roll up his sleeve, you'll see that Elf has a swivel right here for his bicep, but then he's got a hinge and a hinge that allows then double hinge in his elbow. Although on mine, it's a little bit tighter. The hands down below here, or in the forearm area, does rotate. The hands also rotate all the way around. The upper torso is on also a ball joint, a very good, generous ball joint. Legs split out easily enough. They're on ball joints. You can take the legs and move forward only by just a little bit. Clearly, there's a lot of tummy down below here. You can move it about that far forward, and you can move it about that far back. Swivel at the top of the thigh. I did notice, though, with the totally 80s elf, unlike the other two, he seems a little looser here in the top of the leg. Still, he has a single hinge down below for his knee. Allows the lower leg to rotate, and he does have an ankle pivot and an ankle rocker, or I guess an ankle up and down and an ankle rocker back and forth. In case you're also curious too, because he has so much sculpting on the undersoles of his feet, does make him a little bit more, kind of having more of an issue when it comes to him standing properly. But though, NECA did think of that, she did put peg holes in the bottoms of his feet, so he can always use a display stand. When it comes to displaying Elf on the shelf, I really prefer to go with the head sculpt that comes included the Born to Rock elf. Now, if that isn't your thing, I mean, obviously, let's just say you didn't get the chance to pick up the Born to Rock elf. Obviously, you would have to beeline it back to the head sculpt that he comes stock out of the box with, which would be more closer to the OG elf. I would certainly say, though, and again, just a recommendation on my part, if you have the Born to Rock elf, or even if you had plans to display or buy the Born to Rock elf, use the other head sculpt. It's there. It's sitting inside the tray. What is it going to be doing anyways? If you have the other alternate top part of his head, definitely consider the idea even using it for this body or for the totally 80s elf, or even going back to the original elf. That way, at least when you have all three figures displayed on the shelf, it's not just the outfits that separate one from the other. They have different head sculpts from one another as well. Rocking Pogs, no. Rocking totally 80s, yes. 80s Elf has pretty much everything you would imagine if you think the nostalgia of the 80s and one of the coolest decades around. From gaming consoles to retro TVs to even Rubik's Cubes. Although, as a kid, don't try to convince your parents that you've solved the Rubik's Cube when clearly they can see you've only peeled the labels off. I've met many kids now at that age that can easily solve Rubik's Cubes with their eyes closed. I still can't solve that blasted puzzle. One thing that isn't so much of a puzzle is that if you happen to have yourself the Born to Rock elf, you can easily swap out the head sculpts as I showed you in this review. It does result, though, in what I feel to be a better looking elf head sculpt, and I almost even feel like had they already produced this anyways with the Born to Rock elf, the logical thing I feel in my mind would be why not they just have used that head for totally 80s elf. So that if you already have the OG elf and you decide to pick this one up, you'd be surprised right away to find that if you didn't pick up like the Born to Rock elf, hey, this guy's got a brand new head sculpt. And all it really is just a reusing of the same tooled head that came included with that other release of elf. For displaying this guy on the shelf, probably going to rock with the glasses here. I like the look of that. I'm also going to have the figure displayed with, again, the TV, the game console, and hey, why not? Maybe a skateboard in his hand. As a side note, though, you've tried the best, now try the rest. Nice little nod, of course, the fact that they included the pizza box. While again, many of these accessories were borrowed over from either the original Elf or from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The pizza box, the TV, what else? The skateboard. Skateboard, I would all imagine be used before with earlier molds, but they've done them differently now, so they feel like they're brand new fresh. Not maybe as fresh-ish as the pizza that came included with the figure. But still, what do you guys think of totally 80s Elf? Is this one to pick up or is this one to pass? Have you guys even been collecting any of the Elf figures from NECA? And if you have, which ones do you have in your collection currently? If you guys did enjoy this video, you can do it a solid and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more? So I hope so. Hit that subscribe, turn on that bell, and of course, come back. If you need your fix for Elf in the meantime, popping up at the very end of this video, I should say, will be a playlist not only of NECA, but within obviously NECA, there will be not only the reviews that I've done of Elf in the past, but everything else that I've done for NECA. I think we're kind of, like 500, 600 videos, even in just that playlist alone. So there's a lot to look at when it comes to the earlier looked at NECA reviews. So feel free, give those a little bit of a watch if you have a little bit of time on your hands. Probably wouldn't recommend doing that while eating Malmacian pizza. It's going to be covered in cat hair. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.